Okay, everybody, welcome to another edition of TEW 2020 here as we're continuing our WCW 1994 save heading towards Spring Stampede. First, as another quick check-in, again, just like I said with yesterday's video in my 04 series, I am doing basically a census of people who are watching the channel, just checking on and see what we're watching, which was your favorite, what you don't enjoy, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. It's just just follow the link to the Google form. It's a really quick, it's like 4 or 5 questions, nothing fancy. It'll take you like 2 or 3 minutes to fill out. Just, give me your truthful responses, because again, just, as we're heading towards more subscribers and, viewers and everything, I just want to see what, people actually want to see. Since after all, that's the whole point. Obviously, there's some stuff that I'll continue, no matter what. But, it's just good to know what people actually want more of, less of, and all other fun stuff. But anyway, that's it. So again, just follow the link in the description, and that's all you need to do. But I'll be back in just a second with the actual show. So I'll be back with that for you in just a moment. All right, so we open up the first edition of Saturday night as we're heading towards the road to Spring Stampede in our sort of last taping, which is going to be the 3 weeks before Stampede. We start with Scott Steiner making his, first going to the ring for his WCW return, which gets a 73 after, making his debut, facing off with Steve Austin. And then we're on to the actual match, which is him defeating Max Payne in 8:19 by pinfall with the Frankensteiner, which gets a 64. Good heat, decent wrestling. Steiner gets a 68. Max Payne gets a 58. And yeah, just right hit win for Steiner over someone who's solidly in the mid card / lower mid card, just gives him a strong win. And then out comes Steve Austin. Basically, Austin just comes out and, faces off with him, says, what the hell do you think you're thinking, boy? I'm the United States champion. I'm the future of this business. Even your brother has abandoned you since you're here all alone. Steiner pushes back on and says, come on, you want some, and they face off. Eventually, WCW officials, break them apart. And eventually, we get the official announcement that Steve Austin has accepted a match with Scott Steiner. And because of Scott Steiner's prior experience and success here in World Championship Wrestling, it will be a match for the United States Heavyweight Championship. So here we go. We book that, and there we go. And this gets a 73. Good stuff. Then we have a quick, little, not VTR, little, not promo, little. I'm blanking on the word for it. Little, video package showing it's going to be Arnold Anderson versus Ron Simmons, one half of each team that will be facing off for the tag titles at Spring Stampede in a singles match tonight. As that little, picture gets a 73, little graphic. There we go. That was what I was looking for. And then we have a Jacques Rajo promo basically backstage where he, has his armball taped up and says, he was unfortunately injured, but he's still a television champion who will continue to prove why Quebec is the greatest nation on this earth and why he is the greatest television champion and the greatest technical wrestler in all of World Championship Wrestling. 57 saw a promo, and yeah, Rajo got injured, I think, at a house show or on a Power taping, I forget off the top of my head. But yeah, he's only out for 9 days, but that's all 3 weeks, so I'll try to figure out something for him, maybe unannounced for Spring Stampede or not. It'll basically, be determined by how I feel by the end of the taping. But anyway, as we continue, this gets a 57. As we have a quick match, as in about that decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Johnny Bad defeats Iceman King Parsons in 6:31 by pinfall with Wild Thing. This gets a 48. Bad gets a 57. Iceman King Parsons gets a 36. He's our job for the stars. Or, yeah. So, not the worst match, not the best match either. And Bad celebrates afterwards to a 66 as we kind of try to rebuild up his momentum after he drops the TV title. Then we have a Spring Stampede Control Center hosted by Missy Hyatt, basically going over all the big matches, including Sting Pillman, Cactus Jack, Rude, Flair DiBiase, and so on and so forth, which gets a 71. And then we have a Backstage Statement where we have Too Cold and Simmons doing a quick promo, which gets a 61. Basically putting over, they're not afraid of Arn Windham. Ron Simmons, he defeated Vader for the World Heavyweight Championship. He's not scared of two men like Arn and Barry, and at Spring Stampede, they're going to raise the roof and make the WCW fans proud by keeping the World Tag Team Champions. 61, decent, not bad at all. And then we have Rockin' Country of Brad Armstrong and Marty Jannetty defeating the Gambler and Rip Rogers in 6:23 when Jannetty pins Rip Rogers with Rocker Dropper. This gets a 59. Armstrong gets a 55. Marty Jannetty gets a 65. Rip Rogers gets a 41. Gambler gets a 36. Good stuff as, the Rockin' Country, continue a little bit of success. And then post-match, they're celebrating when Vinny Vegas and Scotty Flamingo come out and basically say, you guys are in our way to get back get to the top of the tag team division. Jenny Armstrong just pointed out, you guys had a chance to tag titles and you blew it. So, but we actually won our matches. So if anything, we should be already above you. Vegas playing the fire back, saying you're two punks. Rock. Something like the true best music is, oh god, this is 1994. Would be cheesy. Yeah, you talk about rock and country. What about true music masters like Michael Bolton or Enya? Cue the booze. I'm sure there was somebody else, or nah, I don't want to go with, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, rock and country fire back, and there's a face-off before Jannetty and Armstrong agree to a match at Spring Stampede. It was sort of a lower mid-card tag team match, but, something to sort of put both guys over. Both teams over, rather. So we got Jenny and Armstrong versus Vinny Vegas and Scotty Flamingo. Book that, and there we go. Good stuff. And this segment got a 57. Not bad at all. Then we come back from commercial, and Jesse Ventura's in the ring, and what comes out, Big Van Vader and Sid Vicious, along with Harley Race. They base, Ventura, asks, why the Masters of the Powerbomb have reunited, and, Sid says, after I got screwed out of the World Championship, I realized I needed to destroy somebody, but I needed to make an impact. So I made a deal with the devil himself, Harley Race. And even though we had our issues before, together, two men like us cannot be stopped by any means, even Hawk and Tsunami. Vader says, it's Vader time. I will cause chaos. We will cause destruction. And after we take care of Hawk and Tsunami, nobody will be able to stand to us, because we are the masters of the Powerbomb. There we go. And then, yeah, this is officially announced. No, that's already set up. So, yeah, Vader versus Sid versus Hawk and Tsunami. Big, meaty men. This gets an 81. Not bad at all. And then we go on to a decent little match. It's about that good heat and decent wrestling. Steven Regal defeated the Warlord in 27 by pinfall. It says with roll. Basically, it's like a cradle, crucifix, whatever wacky move Regal would move to get the pinfall over the big guy. As this gets a 64, Regal gets a 68, Warlord gets a 51. And post-match, Regal is in the ring, and he says, well, bloody hell. I believe I will accept the challenge of Ricky Steamboat, and I'll prove to him I am a better wrestler than him now. And yes, it is true he's a former world champion and a great wrestler, but I am the future of World Championship Wrestling and the future of in-ring wrestling. 61, it's all promo, setting up that match, which I think I have booked. No, I don't. Okay. So we'll set that up officially. And here we go. Then we have a backstage promo with Arnold Anderson, and he starts off by saying, Ron Simmons, you were once world champion and you're a hell of a wrestler. Here's the reality of those, son. I'm a tactician and general of an army that's laying waste to WCW, and fortunately, you're just in the way. You have plenty of time to dance with the kiddies, make them feel better, do all that positive thing. Once we take those tag titles off of you, and me and Barry prove why we're two of the best tag team wrestlers in the history of this business. And you guys, well, it's just business. Horseman business. 74, so promo for Arn. Then we have Ric Flair defeating Moen Savage in 757 by pinfall. Just, straight ahead win. Flair actually just gets the win with, sort of the top rope crossbody. This gets a 77. Flair gets an 87. Savage gets a 46. They have great chemistry. That'd be nice if it mattered at all. But hey, good roll. That's not bad at all. So Flair's celebrating. DiBiase runs in to try to make an attack, but Flair's ready for him and actually tosses him over the top rope. They yell at each other, trading not blows, but words. As we go to commercial, as the announcers put over their huge match at Spring Stampede, Flair versus DiBiase. That should have happened at Super Bowl, but of course Flair got injured. Then we have a big segment, which gets an 83, as it's Jack Bischoff. Let me see, did this get hurt by the fact it was so long? No, okay. Nope. Nothing terrible. All right. This is just these guys were over us. Okay. So, basically Bischoff opens both men to the ring for a contract signing, and Recruit starts out by saying something like, rude. Cactus. This contract right here, buddy. Brother, is your death warrant. The difference between your past opponents and me is I'm not overlooking you, and I'm not somebody who's all muscle and zero damn brains. I've got the brains and the brawn. and a lovely Sharon Martel by my side. And the reality, though, is your 15 minutes of fame is run out, Cactus. It's a good story. It's something you'll be able to tell your grandkids how you were once world champion. You just won't mention that you got absolutely walloped by the greatest wrestler in the world once he actually got his chance at the world championship. And, Cactus responds basically, Rick Rude, it's true, you look better than me on a magazine cover. It's true that if I put my wife up to a lie detector, she might prefer what you look like in theory. It might even be true that when it comes to holds and strategy and moves and pure absolute talent, you have the advantage on me. But the difference between you and me, Rude, is why I'm the champion. I'm willing to bleed. I'm willing to destroy my future. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep this title around my waist, even if it means my career shortened, even if it means the chances of me ever seeing a social security check dwindle down to zero. Because, Rude, likely from the day you entered this business, people were penciling you into this spot. What you look like, your body, how you talked, and everything else. Nobody ever believed I could be in this spot. Hell, 1 year ago, this Ken doll over here, I was going to say, which I would have laughed at the idea. But here I am. And if you think one badly dressed skank of a manager, pop, some six-pack abs will give you this title, then you're in for a world of pain at Spring Stampede. Bang, bang. Of course, that starts everybody yelling at each other. She'll get your screeches off. Cactus, fires back. And Bischoff gets between them as the outro is put over, the WCW Heavyweight Championship match at Spring Stampede as it gets an 83. And then in our main event, which, unfortunately don't click. That sucks. Okay. Well, in best like great heat and decent wrestling, Ron Simmons defeats Arnold Anderson in 14:35 by pinfall with Spine Buster. This gets to 73, back and forth match. Arn gets to 68, Ron gets to 60. But yeah, they didn't click, so, maybe just some stiffness, some back and forth. But at the end, Ron Simmons is able to get the pin with the Spine Buster, gets the 1-2-3 on Arn before he can kick out. But of course, here comes the rest of the Horsemen, and it's a 4-on-2 beatdown until Sting and Steiner come out as the crowd pops for that and clears the ring as Sting, Steiner, Simmons, and Too Cold all stand tall against the Iron Horsemen, and this gets a 76 to end the show. And overall, we're looking at a 77. Okay, so not our best show, and honestly, yeah. I mean, if this main event would have been like a 77 or a 78, we might have been able to get an 81 or a 79 even. But still, good stuff. No like great style, like there was no like random Flair 90 segment or anything like that. So not the end of the world. But good stuff as we continue the road on the Spring Stampede. So I'll be back with the next show in the taping in just a moment. All right, time for the second show of the taping as we're continuing the road towards Spring Stampede as the show starts out with Ventura and Tony going over the huge tag match which is happening tonight, which is Ric Flair teaming up with WCW Champion Cactus Jack to take on Rick Rude and Ted DiBiase in a massive tag match just 13 days, right? No, it would be just 8 days before Spring Stampede. This is a 2-minute thing, mainly as like they really put over the match, Ventura puts over, Rude and DiBiase are in a lot of ways it's the same size of the coin. Well, Cactus and Flair, maybe both loved by the fans at the moment, but they have very different backgrounds, so it'll be interesting to see if they can actually stay on the same page tonight. This gets a 70. Then we go to our opening match as an about that discount for the crowd, but Trouble Wrestling. Vegas and Flamingo get the big win over Shane Douglas and Van Hammer. Again, I think I mentioned this before, but JP Storm is currently injured, so Van Hammer is back in the Job for the Stars role for the moment in 8:32. As Vegas pins Van Hammer, it says using the ropes for leverage, but he just hits the snake eyes and pulls his tights as he gets the pin. This gets a 49. Flamingo gets a 55. Vegas gets a 45. Van Hammer gets a 31. Shane Douglas gets a 36. And Douglas and Van Hammer had no zero chemistry as partners. So there you go. And post-match, Flamingo and Vegas celebrate to a 60 as the announcers put over their big tag match at Spring Stampede versus Rock & Country. Then we have a Spring Stampede Control Center with Missy Hyatt as he puts over to the Brian Pillman Sting International World Championship match and the Steamboat Regal match, which was just set up last week, and this gets a 66. And then we move forward as Cactus Jack and Ric Flair backstage. This is a quick little backstage promo. Flair tries to put over, he's lots of respect for Cactus. We do things a lot differently, but woo, we can tag team together and take care of two people who are both pains in our neck. Cactus Jack says, "It's true. I've never been one for Lear jets, fancy limos, or spending lots of money on liquor, but at the moment we're on the same side. So bang bang, let's do two things. Let's do one thing we both know how to do and make other men bleed." Flair puts his hand out, and it seems they're on the same page, at least for tonight, as this gets a 74. And then we have a really good match. I mean, it's Ricky Steamboat and Bobby Eaton, even in 1984. This would be really good. And it's about had good wrestling, decent record in the crowd. Rick Steamboat defeats one of Steven Regal's stable partners, Bobby Eaton, in 12:04 by pinfall with the diving crossbody. This gets a 73. Steamboat gets a 77. Bobby Eaton gets a 60. As this match got the crowd hotter. And then, Regal, Benoit, and Eaton all try to attack, but Steamboat is able to get out of the ring, avoid them all, and, point, and get out into the crowd as the crowd pops. As the heels are a little upset and not be able to chase after Steamboat, as this gets a 74 to build up their feud at Spring Stampede. We have a quick little video where Sandra Slaughter pitches a Made in the USA t-shirt. This is just your buy some merch segment, which gets a 70. And then backstage, we have a Sting. We come back to commercial with Jesse Ventura welcoming Sting and Scott Steiner. Ventura, because he's heelish, is tough. That, says, Brian Pillman looks to be the future of this business. Sting, you've done a lot, but are you ready for somebody usurping your crown at Spring Stampede? Sting says, yeah, it's true. Pillman has a lot of talent, but he's made some mistakes all throughout his career, trying too hard, teaming with some bad hombres. And brother, at Spring Stampede, Pillman, you can try your best, but it's going to be showtime for you. And this crowd is going to see you get your boat whipped from one side of Chicago to the other. And then Ventura continues, Steiner says you just came back to WCW. You think you're ready to take on, Steve Osmond for the U.S. title. Steiner puts out the fact, that he and Rick didn't always team up. He was on his own in Michigan, and just because they've been tag partners with his brother for a long time, doesn't mean he cannot do things on his own at Spring Stampede. If Austin thinks it's going to be a walk in the park, he's got another thing coming. 80, really good promo. Steiner's good. Sting's also really good. So there you go, building that up. And then we have a match which is, a total bomb fest, just like four men beating the crap out of each other as Vader and Sid defeat the Powers of Pain in 11:06 when Sid pins Warlord after a chokeslam. It was probably a powerbomb, unless Warlord didn't want to take the powerbomb from Sid, which is perfectly reasonable. But this gets a 67, Sid gets a 72, Vader gets an 85, Warlord gets a 53, Barbarian gets a 55. And then post-match, we have a Hawk and Tsunami come out for the brawl, and these two teams just beat the crap out of each other, which is 69. Nice, and as the Emperors put over, these four tough SOBs will be all fighting against each other at Spring Stampede. And then we have a Jack Rajo injury update, as he's all, wrapped up. And he says he's feeling a little better. He can move 3 fingers instead of 2. But he's just giving you a reminder, he is still your television champion and the best technical wrestler in all of Canada and of course, Quebec and the world. 52, saw a promo. Again, just giving him some on TV time because he's not wrestling, at least on Saturday night. And then you have a DiBiase, Rude, and Martel, so, Mutual Appreciation Society. We subtly get, point to the fact that Martel managed DiBiase in the WWF, but basically, they act like, they're a well-oiled team ready to, prove that Cactus Jack and Ric Flair are both frauds and their time is over. As this gets to 73, good stuff. And then we have a decent, semi-main event as it's about that great heat and good wrestling. The British Bulldog defeats Johnny Bad in 11:30 by pinfall with a running power slam. This gets a 67, so, Bad does his best, but Bulldog is a former world champion and that much better as he gets the big running power slam to get the pinfall. So, he takes the mic and he does this thing where he's doing, I want some real bloody competition here in World Championship Wrestling. I want somebody out here who can actually face me and fight me, not another thick, sad sack competitor like the man I just threw around like nothing. And then some interesting guitar music hits, some almost familiar guitar music hits, and the arena, if we can pull it off, is bathed in pink and black lights, and out comes former WWF World Champion, Canadian hero, and yes, the man, Bret freaking Hart. Crowd pops huge, because this is WCW, but A, we're in Illinois, so this is more WWF territory, and B, it's Bret Hart. He was basically the top guy. And yeah, Bret, just comes out, soaks up the cheers from the crowd. He walks right up to Bulldog and says, Davey boy, I'm coming here to World Championship Wrestling because it has the best wrestling talent in the world, and I want to face the best professional wrestlers in the world, not a bunch of cartoon characters. Shoot pop. But, well, I've been waiting for my contract to be ready. I've heard you whining and whining about some competition. Well, my day's clear is empty in 8 days. I've already beat you before in front of 70,000 people in your home country, Davey. Do you think you can actually beat me at Spring Stampede? Bulldog fires back, says, for years upon years, I had to face the fact that I lost to you. Well, no, no, I forgot Bulldog got the win there. Yeah, no, so let's go back. He says, Davey boy, you were able to barely beat me in your home country. Do you think you can beat me in front of these WCW fans in Chicago in 8 days? Do you really? And Bulldog fires back. Brett, we're family. But for years, I've had your people say, anyplace else and not my home country, you would have beat me. Well, here in World Championship Wrestling, where the big boys play, where I've been a world champion twice, I'm ready to prove it's my time now. They face off as the crowd pops, as this gets an 87. And Brett's, okay, so excellence of execution of his gimmick got very good. Large boost of psychology, large boost of charisma, and loss, penalties for lengthy matches. That's unfortunate. Well, oh well. So, yeah, 87, huge, big moment. And then we have an Iron Horseman training video. So if you look up, Arnold Anderson, Barry Windham training video, you'll see them basically, as they were starting to team up in, I think, 92 or 93 in WCW, and they were in the junkyard. And that's basically what this is. All four of these guys in the junkyard all doing their white. Arn, being his dad's self, Barry, being arrogant and saying, we're going to be the next world tag team champions. Austin and Pillman, showing up to the junkyard in a flashy car, and, basically, being their jerk fools, filming Arn and Barry, taking the camera from the invisible cameraman and basically putting over, they're the best professional wrestling today. And after Spring Stampede, Arn and Barry will be tag team champions. Austin will still be the US champion, and Brian Pillman will be the international world champion. This gets an 86, really good stuff. And now it's main event time. Only thing that can probably ruin this is if there's some zero chemistry, so let's hope it doesn't happen. Okay, not bad. So an exceptional match. Cactus Jack and Ric Flair defeated Ted DiBiase and Rick Rude in 2015 when Cactus Jack pinned Rick Rude with the double-armed DDT right in the middle of the ring. As this gets an 82, Ric Flair gets an 88, Cactus Jack gets a 78, Rick Rude gets a 79, DiBiase gets a 79. Let me see, was there any bad parts of this, or is this these guys aren't that over yet? Let's see here. Okay, penalties for inconsistency, declining physical ability. Okay, so just inconsistency for Rude and Jack. Okay, not the worst thing. And honestly, these guys aren't super over yet, But yeah, so just really great match, back and forth, really heated. But in the end, things break down. Rude, isn't ready. It's drilled with, a couple big blows from Cactus Jack, and he hits double arm DDT, and 1, 2, 3 pins his competition at Spring Stampede as the crowd pops. As, a really big night, Cactus Jack defeats Rick Rude, Bret Hart debuts, and other fun stuff. So overall, show gets an 81, so increases our popularity. And yeah, just really, obviously, I forgot to set it up because I was shocked things went that well. But yeah, it'll be Bulldog Bret at Spring Stampede. So yeah, fun times. I'll be back with the final show of the build-up in just a moment. So it's now time for the final go-home show for WCW Spring Stampede. We start off with Jesse Ventura welcoming Bret Hart to the ring, which gets a big pop as he basically, Ventura, welcome to the World Championship Wrestling. Put over that we've crossed paths before, but why have you come here to World Championship Wrestling? And Bret Hart says, it's no secret where I've been and what I've done before. And I'm proud of all I've done in this business. But as I looked around, I saw that all the best talent in professional wrestling was here in World Championship Wrestling. Whether it was young stars looking towards the top like Dustin Rhodes, Brian Pillman, Chris Benoit, or Steve Austin, or old foes I faced before like Ted DiBiase, Rick Rude, Hawk, Scott Steiner, and yes, even you, Ric Flair. So there was no other choice for me to make except come to where the big boys play here in World Championship Wrestling and prove it all over once again that I am the excellence of execution and the greatest professional wrestler on this planet. Ventura puts over, again, yeah, it's true you've been very successful, but, British Bulldog did beat you before, and aren't you worried that, you're going to start off your WCW career with a loss? And, Brett fires back that, I've got all the respect in the world from my brother-in-law, but I've seen how he's acted the past couple of months. He's gone off the rails in a way that I can't enjoy, I can't support. And yes, it's true. He defeated me, but barely. And that was in his home country with 75,000 people cheering him on. Now he's here, where the fans will be behind me. Pop. And there's only one thing that's going to happen after the end of Spring Stampede, and that's going to prove once again I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Cue's squealing guitar, as close as we can get it with a copyright, and there we go. 82, good promo, puts over, and yeah, I guess I'll officially make that match for Spring Stampede. Alright, the Hart versus the British Bulldog. Then answers put over. As we come back after that, it'll be Sting and Steiner teaming up to take on their opponents at Spring Stampede, the Hollywood Blondes, in a huge tag match. As that gets a 67. Then we go to the ring where Road Warrior Hawk and Tsunami absolutely destroy Rip Rogers and the Gambler in 410 when Hawk pins Rip Rogers with a flying clothesline. This gets a 42. It's a total squash. Tsunami gets a 72. Hawk gets a 68. And then, Hawk and Tsunami cut a quick promo, which gets a 58. Tsunami, okay, poor gimmick, okay. Okay, not the best. Okay, that's unfortunate. Anyway, so, Hawk basically says, well, Tsunami says, he's, we're here to whoop some butt all over this arena, from Chicago, and Tsunami basically, we're going to come to Chicago and show Sid and Vader who's boss, and then Rock, then tell him Hawk, says, Vader, Sid, you think you fought men before? You thought you've been in wars before? Well, you're coming into my town, Chicago. And you think I'm going to walk out there with a win without making you bleed, without making you pain, and walking on so much pain. You might beat us. Because anything can happen here in World Championship Wrestling. But you will walk out of there knowing you faced somebody born and bred Chicago man. And it'll be, oh, what a rush. 58, solid promo. Well, actually, not that great a promo. What can you do? As we have a Jacques Rajo injury update, as he basically, puts over the fact, he is the greatest wrestler from Quebec, the greatest nation on earth. And, he is still the television champion, and he will be ready to defend his title once again after Spring Stampede. As this gets a 57. Then we have a quick Hollywood Braun promo where they basically put over, after Spring Stampede. Austin will still be the United States champion and the fastest rising wrestler in the wrestling world. And Brian Pillman will prove that he is the future of this business when he takes out Sting and becomes the international world champion. And both for Sting and Scott Steiner, your brush with greatness will be over. 73, perfectly solid promo. As we move forward to the next match. As it's Sergeant Slaughter winning a quick squash over Van Hammer in 551 by submission with Cobra Clutch. Better than I thought, as it gets a 67. Sergeant Slaughter gets a 76. Van Hammer gets a 41. Nothing for Slaughter to do with them, so just give him a quick win on the go-home show to prove that he's still around, as this gets a 73. So fun stuff. Then, in a match to preview their big tag match at Spring Stampede, Vinny Vegas defeats Brad Armstrong in 907 by pinfall. Says that we're using the ropes, but basically, unties the turnbuckle, hits the snake eyes, gets the big boot, gets a pinfall, as the crowd, boos. 55, perfectly solid match. Vegas gets a 46, Brad Armstrong gets a 50, and, puts over, that match, as Vegas will go celebrate afterwards to a 59, as the announcers put over, that both tag teams will be looking to get back to the top of the tag team division, but only one will rise after Spring Stampede. Then we have Spring Stampede Control Center, going over the big matches for Larry DiBiase, Sting Pillman, Cactus Jack Rude, Brett DiBiase, etc. Brett Davey Boy, etc. This gets a 73. And we move forward as in a bout that break-even good wrestling that gets a 77. Cactus Jack defeats Chris Benoit in 10:08 by pinfall to double arm DDT. Just a straight ahead, semi-competitive but kind of squashy win for Cactus. Just real good because it's been on going against him. Cactus gets a 77, Benoit gets a 63, and then Cactus gets a promo to 68, which says basically, it's true. This might be the last night you see me walk out with the WCW title. And I will do whatever I can to keep the title around my waist, but even my best might not be enough. I'm damn ready to die to keep this title. But for one last night, I wanted to be out in his fans, hold this title up, get the cheers, and show that no matter what, I can do it my way. Bang bang. When he walks out, this crowd pops. It's over, one last time. The big world title match, Cactus Jack versus Recruit, as this gets a 68. And then we have a Sting and Steiner promo. Straight ahead gets a 69. Nice. Just standard babyface promo. Says, Pillman, you think you're ready for greatness. Well, it's time I prove to you you're not quite ready, kid. And Steiner says, Steiner puts over, in fact, Austin is looking past me, but I'm going to surprise him at Spring Stampede and take that U.S. title off him before he knows what's hit him. This gets a 69, like I said. And then in a match, Sid Vicious kills Dustin Rhodes in 9:34 by pinfall powerbomb. This gets a 57. Dustin gets a 72. Sid gets a 71. Okay, lack of storyline. Okay, I just forgot to throw the storyline on here. Not the end of the world. But yeah, just a quick, Dustin does his best to fight, but Sid is that much better. Gets the big squash win over Dustin. And then what happens is, Dustin is weary, so Sid pulls him up for another powerbomb. That cues Hawk and Tsunami come out for the save, but Vader's already out there, and he fights them off just long enough for Sid to nail Dustin with another powerbomb to completely, KO him, as this gets a 74, and Angle got the crowd hotter. So basically what this does is do two things: build up a big tag match, and also give a reason why Dustin isn't on the pay-per-view, because, he's a former international world champion, but just, how everything worked out, he didn't have anything to do on the show, so there you go. As this gets a 74, like I said. And then it's a Flair DiBiase video package, basically going over, DiBiase's arrival, the feud with Flair, DiBiase making fun of Flair for getting injured, DiBiase, fighting Dustin, Flair coming back, their confrontations, DiBiase, saying he's truly the rich, he's the true successful man, among the two, between him and Flair. He still has his money, Flair's lost his. Flair, pointing out, he's spent more money on spilt liquor than DiBiase has ever truly made in this business, back and forth, and big, basically big showdown of two generational wrestlers only at Spring Stampede here in World Champion Wrestling, and this gets a 90. Good stuff. And then in our main event, which gets an 80, so real good stuff. They're about to have fantastic heat and great wrestling. The Hollywood Blondes defeat Sting and Steiner in 1702, when Pillman, cleanly, as in, it's a pure 4 brawl. Pillman pins Sting, it says with a roll up, but basically Pillman rolls through, holds the tights, 1, 2, 3, huge win over the National World Champion, as this gets an 80, Steiner gets a 68, Sting gets an 81, Pillman gets an 83, Austin gets an 83. Huge tag match. And post-match, of course, it's a 4-on-2 beatdown, but Scorpio and Simmons this time makes a save, which gets a 73, as the Hunters put over, the two big, these 3 big matches and everything else, basically doing the hard sell for Spring Stampede all throughout the brawl as the show goes off the air. And overall, we get an 81. So good stuff. Going to end this in just a moment here, but let's go through, let this build up, and then, I'll go over Britt's, sort of history here within the game series, and then, within this actual mod so far, and then, the final card for the pay-per-view. So, yay, I don't care. So, as first, a quick check. So, Bret Hart, just so you guys know what's been happening with him. So, in 1993, let's see here, starting from the top. So, he defeated Razor at WrestleMania. Then he defeated Rick Martel. And then he defeated Razor again to retain the title. Mr. Perfect defeated him at King of the Ring for the title in 93. He and Taker teamed up to take on Yokozuna and Martel in 95. He then defeated Martel again at another pay-per-view. Perfect defeated him in a rematch at Raw, which is 94. Ramon beat him at SummerSlam. The Undertaker defeated him at another pay-per-view. Let's see here. Survivor Series was Yokozuna and Michaels defeating Bret Hart and Randy Savage in 95. Razor and Brett, which I'm assuming Brett Bay's return at some point, defeated Lawler and Luger. And then Razor and Brett defeated Lawler and Luger in a cage match. And then Hart defeated Lisa Coley in the last show of the year. And then as we build up to the big show here, we had Bret Hart and Razor defeating Taker and Lawler at a random Raw. Bret Hart defeated and Razor defeated Michaels and Yoko at a pay-per-view. And then, after he signed with us, Mike Bell or Random Jobber defeated him on Raw, but that was about it. And if we look at his popularity, that didn't even hurt his popularity that much. So yeah, solid 80s overall, because again, not the best thing, but, still insanely good. All these skills. Look at all these skills. Honestly, that might a little underrated, because we've all seen 97 Brett. But yeah, usually I don't try to do the sign everybody thing, but DiBiase and Brett, I think, fit perfectly into this version of WCW I'm trying to make, where it's not pure wrestling, but it's basically the WCW that could have been if Hogan didn't show up. Still lots of angles, lots of hot Southern style stuff, but also good wrestling. But anyway, as we go to a pre-booking, let's go over the whole show for Spring Stampede. So, 2 big world title matches. Cactus Jack versus Rick Rude for the WCW Heavyweight Championship, and then Sting versus Brian Pillman for the International World Championship. We've got a rematch built up for nearly 2 years, 18 months, I guess. It's Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog. A tag title match as Arn and Barry try to take titles off of Scorpio and Simmons. Big Van Vader and Sid, the Masters of the Powerbomb, team up to take on Road Warrior Hawk and Tsunami. Steve Austin meets Scott Steiner with the U.S. Championship on the line. Steven Regal meets Ricky Steamboat in a battle of the future of the present versus the past. A big tag match as Rockland Country meets up with Vinny Vegas and Scotty Flamingo with the future of the tag division at stake. And yeah, so this is a really big card. In theory, I could argue 1, 2, 3, 4 matches that could main event the card, and even Austin and Steiner could be the same way on this card. So just a huge show as we sort of build to sort of what we've been building all throughout. As I think we're basically a little over a year into the save, and if we look at our top 100 so far, still nothing better than Cactus Jack and Sid at Starrcade, but that's also had the bonus of being Starrcade. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that happens. But yeah, really big show. Oh yeah, just storylines as a quick check. Oh shit, okay. Well, that sucks. Okay, so I'll be rebuilding. I'll probably just redo this storyline on the day of this pay-per-view, because yeah, what can you do? Anyway, Hart and Bulldog start off at a 78, NW titles at a 77, Rock in England, which is all basically the mid-card tag stuff, and Steamboat Regal's at a 64. The tag title feud is at a 77. Flair DiBiase's at an 85. US titles at a 75. This is something else we can end. Again, gotta remember to actually fix things. And the world title storyline's at a 79. So solid stuff. As a quick check at our size, if we see here, we've been slowly growing. Well, okay. Growing and slowly. Well, okay, so we sort of capped out the past couple months, but we're still getting there. Yeah. Probably I should invest I should maybe try to get some better coverage in Canada on the basis that, hey, we're in Canada and we have Bret Hart now, so that'll be reason to get pay-per-view, everything and hit that. Okay. Anyways, now I'm rambling. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, like I said at the start of the video, fill out that YouTube channel census just to see what everybody wants and enjoys for the channel. And, go ahead and give this a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, put your comment below, enjoying, non-enjoying, and subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this series, my MLW 2006 series, now starting Fusion on Univision, my WWE 2013 series, where I've got random number generators giving me goals to complete, and of course my long-running WCW 2001 series, now out of Wrestle War 2004 and heading towards Sacrifice 2004. But that's it for now, so talk to you later. Adios. And of course, as always, have a good one.